Muy buenas tardes, estimados amigos. Ya estamos en la vereda para comenzar. En un segundo. Ahí estamos con el audio ya de fondo, ahí en Discurso, en Racine, para poder ver el discurso de Donald Trump, donde estamos junto con Ana Lemus acompañando.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Estamos acá ya esperando a que empiece a hablar el próximo presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump. Como pueden ver, acá detrás mío tengo donde está la tarima, donde va a estar hablando Donald Trump. Me voy a meter para que lo podamos ver más cerca. Y pues ahora pusieron un videito para la introducción en lo que él viene hablando. Lo que va a hacer el día de hoy es desenmascarar a Joe Biden y obviamente hablar de las propuestas de campaña de Donald Trump para la próxima presidencia.
Perfecto, Ana. Yo te dejo entonces a ti para que tú vayas relatándole a la gente lo que está pasando allá, el ambiente que hay, etcétera. El canal es todo tuyo de aquí en adelante.
Claro que sí, vamos a estar enfocando por ahora lo que está pasando en la pantalla para poner atención y en breve regreso con ustedes para traducirles y explicarles qué es lo que estamos viviendo. Bueno, pues estamos acá viendo el ambiente desde el evento donde estará presentándose Donald Trump. Estamos esperando que salga al escenario para que empiece a hablar. Por el momento, bueno, pudimos ver un video introductorio. Lo que va a estar haciendo acá es hablando acerca de los errores de Joe Biden en la administración actual de la presidencia actual de Estados Unidos. Así que vamos a estar mostrándoles un poquito alrededor de cómo está el ambiente en lo que el presidente Donald Trump sube al escenario. Ya un poquito de demora, así que vamos a estar dando vueltas y traduciéndoles un poco lo que está pasando.
Sí. Ahí estamos con el ambiente entonces que se está viviendo en este momento ahí en Racine, en Wisconsin, en Estados Unidos, directamente con Ana Lemus, que está transmitiendo para la vereda, para poder ver este discurso y escuchar este discurso de Donald Trump, donde va a revelar lo que él estima que ha hecho y no ha hecho Joe Biden, y lo que ha pasado durante esta administración absolutamente progresista, muy globalista, y que Donald Trump está dispuesto a revertir muchas medidas si él llega a la presidencia ahora en las elecciones de este año. Así que dejamos a Ana Lemus ahí para que nos vaya contando entonces el ambiente que está viviendo.
Claro que sí, bueno, en lo que les estoy mostrando en las imágenes voy hablando, voy a intentar bajar un poquito por acá, molestando a la gente. Thank you. Para poder acercarme más al escenario, thank you. Y así vamos viendo. Por acá me voy a acercar más al escenario para que vean el escenario donde va a estar el presidente Donald Trump hablando. El escenario está precisamente acá, a unos pasitos míos. Bueno, mucha gente esperanzada, ya hablaron senadores, ya hablaron más personas de la administración de Donald Trump. Así que nada, estamos esperando, ese es el ambiente que se vive en este momento, estamos esperando que aparezca Donald Trump. Por acá también tenemos más prensa que han venido de todas partes del mundo para este día muy especial. Si tienen alguna pregunta que quieran hacer, por favor pónganmela en los comentarios y con mucho gusto podemos acá incluso entrevistar gente en lo que esperamos que salga Donald Trump.
Vamos a conversar un poco porque nos pueden bloquear el video por la música que están tocando, por temas de derechos de autor, así que vamos a aprovechar de ir conversando junto con ustedes y viendo aquí que la verdad es que hay un ambiente increíble increíble ahí en Wisconsin en este momento, a la espera de que Donald Trump suba al escenario y comience entonces con este discurso tan esperado. Es uno de los dos eventos que tiene preparado Donald Trump en su campaña de este año para la presidencial. Vamos a ver
Sí,
qué
hay
es lo que
bastante.
tiene que decir. Sí. Adelante,
Ok,
Ana.
vamos a ir entrevistando a un par de personas que estén por acá en lo que esperamos. Dale. Hi, how
Adelante.
are you? My name is Ana. I'm from La Vereda TV. It's a South American TV channel, and I was wondering if I can interview you. Yes.
What?
My name is Ana. I'm from La Vereda TV for South America. It's a news channel. So we are live right now. We're streaming. I was wondering if I can ask you a few questions.
Sure.
Yes. Okay, let's just. Ok, guys. Bueno, chicos, acá estoy con una de las personas que están acá en este evento esperando a Donald Trump. What is your name?
Will Pencherman.
Okay, so what are you expecting in the new elections? I know we are going to win. I say we guys support Trump, but what are you expecting? Why are you looking for? Can you tell me the difference between Joe Biden, because I don't want to say anything wrong, but Joe Biden administration and what are you expecting with Donald Trump? Estoy preguntando qué es lo que espera él de diferencias entre la administración de Joe Biden con las de Donald Trump.
Failed policies of the past versus good Republican conservative policies that work. That bring us prosperity, things that have been tried and true, the things that work. We're not going backwards, we're going forward.
Está diciendo que no quiere regresar a las políticas anteriores que han fracasado, sino a las nuevas políticas que sean.
What's
You want to
that?
continue, sir? Yeah, so I interrupt you.
Sorry.
Okay. So, and how can you tell us a little bit about the environment right here, the reason why you came here today?
Yeah, I'm here because I support the nominee. Trump is the Republican nominee for president, and we need to retire Joe Biden. He's been in politics longer than I've been alive. That is far too long, and he's not helping. He's hurting. The effects of inflation, legal immigration. We are weak on the national stage. We are less safe now than we were 4 years ago. It's terrible. It's time for strong leadership in the United States, and that's what President Donald Trump's going to bring.
Le pregunto cuál es el motivo por el cual vino acá. Dice que el motivo es sacar a Joe Biden en ese momento de la presidencia, ya que, se lo voy a hacer resumido, él ha creado bastantes problemas económicos, bastantes problemas de migración y bastantes problemas de seguridad. Antes no se vivía los problemas de inseguridad que hay ahora en Estados Unidos. Sí, thank you for your time. Vamos a ir caminando acá a ver a quién más podemos entrevistar. Si tiene alguna pregunta en específica, por favor, pónganla en el chat y me la hacen saber para preguntarle a la gente que está acá el día de hoy. Y vamos a ver por mientras si puedo entrevistar a un par de personas más que nos puedan dar sus comentarios. Vamos a preguntarle por acá a las chicas. Hi girls, quick question. My name is Ana from La Vereda TV. It's a South American TV channel. We are streaming right now live. Do you mind if I ask a few questions?
No, I'm okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Okay.
If you want, you can show your face. You can just talk to me.
I'm good.
Yeah, okay, it's okay. Thank you. Bueno, nos pusieron un poquito nerviosas.
Ladies and gentlemen, please look
Okay, llegó la
the
hora.
next president of the States, President Donald J. Trump.
Me voy a ir para arriba para que se vea un poquito mejor. Yo creo que va a ser un poquito complicado.
From the lake to Minnesota, to the hills of Tennessee. Now, who can believe that they would do this to a country? Now, Joe Biden doesn't have a clue. Now, we're going to watch. Is anybody going to watch the debate? He's going to be so pumped up. He's going to be pumped up. You know all that stuff that was missing about a month ago from the White House? What happened? Who left it? Somebody left it there. I wonder, let's see, somebody left a laptop in an office of a gentleman who was supposed to fix the laptop from hell. He never picked it up, and somebody didn't pick up hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cocaine. I wonder who that could have been. I don't know. Actually, I think it was Joe. You would have. But Crooked Joe's action today is an illegal, unconstitutional amnesty without approval from Congress, no approval from the courts or the American people, but he never does that. He did that with the tuition, and that didn't work out too well. He got rebuked, and then he did it again. It's going to get rebuked again, even more so. It's an even more vile attack. But he did that with tuition just to get the publicity for the election. He doesn't care about that. He just wants to see if he can get it by the election. Like with all my stuff, they get these people from all over, go after Trump. They never did this before. This is like third world country stuff. Go after Trump. But he did nothing wrong. That doesn't matter. Just go after him. Go after him. And we don't care what happens after the election. Just do it. Mess it up. No country has ever done this outside of a few third world horrible banana republics. Very rarely done. This Biden amnesty is a direct attack on American democracy. And yet another example is how Biden and his communists are demolishing our constitutional system and replacing it with a corrupt and fascist regime. These are fascists. These are bad people. And I don't think he's calling the shots. I'll be honest. I think he's not. I'm talking to you like a small little gathering of, 20,000 people. But I don't think he's calling the shots. I really don't. I almost sound when I talk about, Alphonse Capone was indicted less than Trump. I never heard the word indictment. And then all of a sudden, it's coming from all different angles at me, all caused by Biden and his thugs. But it's not going to happen. It's interesting because we're doing better now than we've ever done because people know it's a scam. It's a big scam. And the Biden betrayal is not going to stand. When I'm reelected, Joe Biden's illegal amnesty plan will be ripped up and thrown out on the very first day that we're back in office. Because he's just using that group. But he's going to let everybody come in because you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to sign these people up and register them. They're not citizens. They're not allowed to do it. It's illegal as hell. We're filing court cases all over the place, including here, but we're filing court. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to use all of these people that are pouring into our country to vote. What other reason? Look, it's either they're stupid, they're not stupid. He is, but they're not stupid. The people that surround him, his leaders, his leaders aren't stupid. You can't cheat that well at an election and be stupid, okay? But so you say they're either stupid or they hate our country, or the third thing is they want to sign people up to vote. And that's what they're doing right now. They're signing people up to vote. The people don't even know where they are. And they're getting them cards to vote. They're trying to register them to vote. And we're in courts all over the place, and we're going to get it stopped. And we're not going to let what they did 4 years ago happen again. Our country is being destroyed. Joe Biden wants to be the president for illegal aliens, but I will be the president for law-abiding Americans, every background, every walk of life, every race, religion, color, and creed. I'll be the president. Thank you very much. Crooked Joe's mass amnesty comes in the wake of a series of horrific murders by, I call them the Biden illegals. They come in here so illegally. They just walk across, not vetted, not checked. All over the world they're coming from. The Congo in Africa, 22 people coming out of jails recently. And where are you from? The Congo. Where did you live? In a jail. What did you do? We don't want to say. But they come from Africa, from Asia. They come from the Middle East. They come from South America, but they come from all over the world. And they're really very, in many cases, very, very bad people. The only good thing is they make our gang members look like nice people by comparison. You know the good thing about Biden's administration, right? He makes Jimmy Carter look like a genius by comparison. Jimmy Carter's administration looked brilliant by comparison. In all fairness, he wasn't doing things like this. He wasn't allowing 17, 18 million people to walk into our country unchecked, unvetted. We have no idea who the hell they are. Day after day, week after week, more Americans are raped, kidnapped, and brutally killed at the hands of criminals. And Joe Biden released them into our country. He released them all. We had, by the way, 4 years ago, I wish they could put it up on the screen, we had the strongest border in the history of our country. Now we have the weakest border in the history of the world. In the history of the world. Oh, there it is. Take a look. That cost a little money to bring that sucker up here. You know, that's, but take a look at that. You see the red arrow on the bottom? That was the week I left office. What a sad day that was for the country. But that was the week I left office. See the red arrow on the bottom? That's the only one you have to even look at. That was the last week in office for Trump. Look at the number. That was the lowest number in the history of our country of illegals coming in. But you can also add drugs and other things, okay? But look at that number. And that was done by Border Patrol. Look at that number. And then look what happens as soon as I leave. Look at the numbers on the right. That's the largest influx of people ever to come to any country. There's never been anything like this. And we don't know where they come from, who they are. We don't have any records. There's no way to check it. You know, they come from some country that nobody ever heard of. They don't keep records, and we don't get their records, and we don't know what we're taking in. But you know one thing, you remember the snake. It's not going to be good, right? It's not going to be good. When you let in a snake, when you let in people that come out of prisons for murder, it's not going to end well. We're going to have a lot of problems, and we're going to get them out. We're going to get them out as fast as we can. We're going to have the largest deportation. We have no choice. Just last week, another Biden migrant was arrested for the savage murder of an innocent American woman. You probably all read about it. In Maryland, Rachel Morin, 37 years old, mother of 5, beautiful woman, nice woman, everybody loved her. Police believe that this animal was responsible for Rachel's killing, first murdered another young woman in El Salvador, came from El Salvador, murdered a woman, at least one, then fled across this Joe Biden open border. Just come on in, everybody. We won't even check your name. And came into the United States, after which he savagely attacked a 9-year-old girl and her mother in a home invasion in Los Angeles in an area that was supposed to be safe. And finally, he's charged with raping and murdering Rachel when she was out for a run. She was running, wanted to keep herself in shape before dumping her body into a drainage ditch. That's how they found her, into a drainage ditch. This monster should never have been allowed into our country. And if I was president, he would never have been able to come in. He would have never been able to come in. You see those numbers. Thank you very much. Just like the killer, and you've read about this too, Laken Riley, beautiful Laken Riley, would have never been in our country. Laken was the topper of her class. She wanted to be a nurse. She was the top student, the top everything. She was admired by everybody that knew her. And she was murdered by the same kind of a person that came in here under Biden's there is no policy. They just come in. They just came in. And, you know, I listened to Tom Homan the other day. Tom Homan's great, real pro. He said there's never been an administration so good on the border and so good generally, but he's a border guy. He's a pure, powerful border guy. He said, there's never been an administration like Trump. It's the greatest border, the safest border we've ever had. All these murders that are taking place and all the murders that will take place, you're just seeing the beginning. They're just getting comfortable, you know? They're here for a little while. They're not going to start up. They want to find out. They're just getting comfortable. Now they're having fistfights with cops in the middle of the street. Think of that. In the middle of New York City, they have a guy fist fighting with a cop. I've seen cops shot. I've seen a lot of things. But a fist fight, that's really like crazy. And they're duking it out in the middle of a street. And if that happened to him in his country, they would have had him killed immediately. He would have been killed immediately. But here we're very nice. We're politically correct. Also recently in New York, an illegal alien with mutual and multiple prior arrests approached two 13-year-old children with a machete in broad daylight, forced them into the woods, tied them together by the wrists, and raped the girl at a park in Queens. I grew up in Queens. When I'm reelected, we will begin removing these criminals, these horrible people from our midst, and we'll end up doing it immediately. We're going to do it immediately. We don't really, it's not like we have a choice, right? Do we have a choice? We're not going to live like this. You know, that area in Queens, I said, that's where I grew up. I grew up right near that area. It was unthinkable. My parents, I'd go to the park. It was like 20 blocks away. I'd take a bicycle to ride there. Nobody thought anything was going to happen. I did that for years, played baseball and different things in the park. And you'd ride and you'd come back home. Mother would say, hi, darling, would you like something to eat? Today, if you let your kid out of the house for 5 minutes, the kid is gone. You never see it's horrible what's going on. We're not living the proper life. This is not appropriate what's happening. Our country is so badly run. And by the way, you know, Kenosha, I saved Kenosha. Do you know that? When I was president, right? I saved it. Kenosha was about ready to go down the tubes, and the governor wouldn't move. He just wouldn't move, and I moved. I'm not supposed to. It's supposed to be the governor supposed to do it, the mayor and the governor. But we did a great job, and we saved a lot of different places, and some here. We saved a lot of places. Joe Biden's amnesty is also a cold-blooded betrayal of American seniors. By the way, did you see Nancy Pelosi? Her daughter did a documentary, Crazy Nancy. No, this happened just a couple of days. They found the documentary. Her daughter, who's a, quote, documentary maker, has a documentary where Nancy Pelosi is saying it's my fault, meaning her fault, not my fault, her fault, that she takes full responsibility for what's happening. That's as the event is happening. You know why? Because she was being honest for the first couple of hours. And I offered them 10,000 soldiers because I knew the crowd was going to be big. But I offered them 10,000 soldiers and she turned it down. She said, oh, I don't like the look. She turned it down. And the mayor of Washington, D.C., which we're going to redevelop and make beautiful again, because right now it's a crime-ridden capital. But they turned it down. They turned down the stuff. And now the J6 committee, I call it the unselect committee. They're unselect. They're the most unselect. We should have people like you. We should have put Vivek on the committee, right? And our congressman on the committee, right? But the unselect committee of political thugs, the evidence was so bad and so compelling against the Democrats and against the people that are supposed to be doing that job that they destroyed and deleted all of the, everything is deleted. Remember, they said I attacked Secret Service agents while I was in the back of a car. And I have friends that say, don't change that story. Man, you sound tough as hell. That's good. You know, these guys are like 30 years old. One is a weightlifter. The other one's a karate top guy or something. I went for the one who was rebuffed, but my hands wrapped around the other one's neck. I would have been in trouble if I did that, I think. But what happened is when Secret Service went in, they totally told the proper story, which was nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. Then she supposedly changed her, so something went on there. But that's just one of many things. The Pelosi thing is something that is totally on the record, and they've deleted and destroyed all of the records. And they are really disgraceful people. Remember, I said peacefully and patriotically, right? Peacefully. They didn't have that in my speech. They put my speech up, but they took phrases out like peacefully and patriotically. And these are very dishonest people. You know, I say we have problems from the outside and problems from within. And I really believe that you have a smart president. I had no problem with China. I had no problem with Russia. I stopped Russia. Russia would have never gone into Ukraine. I stopped their pipeline going into Germany, which Biden immediately approved. The first week that he was there, he approved it. And Putin actually said, you know, they say that you and I are friends. I'd hate to see you as an enemy. You stopped my pipeline. It was stopped. Going to Germany, going all over Europe, and Biden immediately approved it. But he killed our pipeline, the Keystone. He stopped our pipeline, the Keystone XL, 48,000 jobs. He stopped our pipeline. Biden and his party are hell-bent on legalizing every single Biden migrant who has violated our borders, dumping millions of people onto Medicare and Social Security and even Obamacare. By the way, all of these people going on to Social Security, Medicare, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, it's going to destroy all of them. It's not going to be able, it's not sustainable. They're going to ruin your Social Security. This guy's killing your Social Security. Biden and the Democrats are wheeling Granny off the cliff to give benefits to illegal aliens. They're giving the benefits to the illegals. And, you know, a stat that came out the other day is that almost all of the new jobs in this country are going to illegals. They're not going to our people. They're going to illegals. And that's why the Black population, Hispanic population, is voting for me at levels that nobody's ever seen before in this country. Because they're not getting the jobs. In fact, they're losing their jobs. As president, I will fight for American seniors like nobody has ever fought before, and we will not be fighting for the Biden illegals, as I call them. I will fight for American workers, not for human traffickers. I will fight for the American dreamers, not the child smugglers and woman smugglers. And I will restore the sovereign borders of the United States of America. So help me God. Thank you very much. Thank you. You know, they actually have the best location. People think it's, no, people think it's them, but it's not, because nobody sees you on camera. They're on camera for an hour and a half, depending on. And in numerous cases, perhaps they become Hollywood stars. You know, they'll say, who's that person with great star appeal behind Trump? Say, let's see. Got a few of them. You never know. Hey, you never know. What is a star, after all? What is a star? I will also take immediate action to save our economy. Our economy is doing terribly. Inflation has killed our economy. It's a nation buster. On the last day in office, inflation was at less than 1.4%. And as you know, it's now 10. Hey, look, if you take a look at our inflation, our real inflation, they said it was 10 for the last couple of years cumulatively. You take a look at inflation, and if you add different categories, which they don't, I think our inflation is between 40 and 50%. They say it's at 22%. 22% is a lot. That's record setting. But I think you could double it. Let them add the cost of interest. Let them add the cost of trying to buy a house. Nobody can buy a house anymore. The American dream is dead. The money they can't get, the interest rates through the roof. During my term, we had gasoline down to $1.87 a gallon. And by the end, the 30-year mortgage rate was 2.7%. Think of that. And now it's 10%, 11%, 12%, and you can't get the money, so it doesn't make any difference. They can tell you what the rate is, but you can't get the money. Joe Biden inherited the fastest and strongest economic recovery in history. I gave him the greatest economic recovery in history. It's called bounce back. We were all set. We were set. I hated, we had the greatest economy ever in the history of the world. COVID came in and we did an unbelievable job. And by the time we ended, We gave him the greatest bounce back that anybody's ever had. And guess what? He blew it to shreds. And that's where we are right now. Biden's inflation, price hikes, and energy destruction have cost the average American family an astonishing $28,000. Think of that, $28,000. And on day one of my new administration, we will throw out Bidenomics and replace it with Maganomics. Maganomics. And it was just announced, you probably heard it, just came as I'm walking up, I say, let me say that. I'm walking up here. It was just announced that the budget deficit is now expected to be almost $2 trillion in 2024. Think of it, $2 trillion. Let's see, 2024, that might not be so good because I take over. They're going to say I have a $2 trillion deficit. I say I didn't do anything. But we'll get it down. $400 billion more than estimated just a few months ago because he's throwing money out the window on the Green New scam and other things because this student loan program, which it's not even legal. I mean, it's not even legal. And the students aren't buying it, by the way. His polls are down. I'm leading in young people by numbers that nobody's ever seen before. And remember, with Trump, no tax on tips. So for all of you people, a couple of people that get tips, right? Tips? No tax on tips. That's right. No, I think it's good. You know, you work, and they come out and they harass you. They really harass you. A lot of people have told me that. He's just passed new regulations that make it very, very hard on people that earn tips really for a living. For the most part, they live on tips. I will stop Biden's wasteful spending and rapidly terminate the Green New scam, which is a total scam. We're spending money like drunken sailors. You know the expression, drunken sailors? They love that expression. I will end the Biden inflation nightmare, and we will end it quickly. And I will repeal crooked Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle mandate. And we will drill, baby, drill. We will drill, baby, drill, right? Thank you. Thank you. Energy costs will come down very quickly. In many cases, we'll be cutting your energy costs in half, and we're going to be doing it very fast. I will also stop inflation by stopping the invasion, rapidly reducing housing costs. You know, they're taking over our hotels. Think of it. You have people that come in illegally that don't speak the language. We don't even know the country. These are countries where we have nobody in our country that even understands the language. And they're living in luxury hotels in many cases. And as I said, as our wonderful warriors they're wounded. In many cases, they are literally wounded. They're wounded from what's taken place, from the trauma, but they're wounded. And they're laying in the streets of San Francisco and Los Angeles and New York and Chicago and Oakland and all over the place. And you have other people living in luxury hotels. You tell me, is this country screwed up or what? Is this country... We will cut every unnecessary Biden regulation. You know, I cut regulations more than any president in history. That's how we got all the jobs. And I cut your taxes, the biggest tax cut in the history of our country. And we will make the Trump tax cuts permanent and reduce taxes even more for working families and small businesses. They want to let the Trump tax cuts expire. If you do that, you will pay 4 times the amount of tax that you're paying right now. Somehow, you know, all my life I've watched politicians, and they always said, I'm going to reduce your taxes. This is the only group I've ever seen. We're going to raise your taxes by 4 times. Oh, let's vote for them. There's something crazy going on. There's something crazy in the water. But, you know, I produce the cleanest water and the cleanest air. That's what I want. I want clean water, clean, crystal clean air. Unlike me, Joe Biden isn't fighting for the working people. He's fighting for all of the corrupt interests that get rich off the suffering of the middle class. And he's fighting for China. And he's fighting for lots of other countries. He puts America last. Crooked Joe backs NAFTA, China's entry into the World Trade Organization, and the horrible Trans-Pacific Partnership, and also the ripoff called the Paris Climate Accord. Sounds so nice, except we were paying the whole brunt of it. China wasn't paying, Russia wasn't paying, India wasn't paying. We were paying $1 trillion for the Paris Climate Accord. Sounds so nice. I said, you know, when I terminate this deal, I'm going to get killed on this one. I terminated it. Everybody thanked me. It was like, because they all know the people are really smart. They get it. They get it. What we are doing for other countries, and we're destroying ourselves, and we owe $35 trillion. You know, it's not like, gee, we have nothing but cash. He sent our blood and treasure to back regime change in Iraq, regime change in Libya, regime change in Syria, and every other globalist disaster for half a century. It's been going on the same. I took our soldiers out. You know, I'm the only president that didn't start a war. I'm the only president. I finished the war. I finished it. I finished the war with ISIS, the ISIS caliphate. I finished it. But I didn't start a war. I got our soldiers out of Syria. I read this morning that, oh, gee, it was a shame. We had 5,000 soldiers on the border, Syria and Turkey, right on the border. So you have Syria, Turkey, and in the middle we have 5,000. In between, a 250,000 person army and 150,000. I went to a general. I say, how do our 5,000 soldiers do in that case? You got two warring nations. And they say, not good, sir. I say, I think it's time to get them out, right? I got them out. Then we had 54 soldiers. And I said, this one, I don't have to ask a general. Get them the hell out of there. You know what? Essentially, nothing happened. They've had that border for 2,000 years, different names. But they've had that border for 2,000 years. They've been fighting for 2,000 years. Why do we have soldiers here? I took them out. And we didn't have people killed. We had nobody killed. And they still fight over the border a little bit, but not much. It's, you know, they fight for a little while, then they stop. This goes on for thousands. This goes on for thousands of years. No, you know, we are now, we call ourselves, because, you know, I'm conservative. What difference? I'm the party of common sense. We're the party of common sense. It's not a conservative thing. It's not a liberal thing or a Democrat or Republican thing. After years of crooked Joe building up foreign nations under my leadership, we will once again build up our nation, if that's okay. Let's build up our nation. I think it's time, right? This looks like a good soldier there. I will revoke China's most favored nation's trade status. They have a most favored nation. They're favored. I said, why do you have that presidency? Well, we are a developing nation. You got nothing but cash. You're killing us. We paid them $500 billion a year. They built their military because of stupid people. And one thing, you know, somebody said it, you don't even think about it. I read it 2 nights ago. Donald Trump was the one that brought up China and the tremendous threat that China is and the amount of money that China takes out of our country every year. You never heard that until I came along. And, you know, it's one thing to talk about it, but I did talk about it. But I was doing something. We took out hundreds of billions of dollars out of China. Not one president took out 10 cents. In fact, Biden wants to revoke the tariffs, but he can't because it's so much money. He can't do it. He just can't do it. I also will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. That's if China or any other country makes us pay 100 or 200% tariff or tax, we will make them pay a reciprocal tariff or tax of 100 or 200% right back. We don't do that. We have countries, and it's not only China, it's many countries. We have countries that charge us tremendous taxes and tariffs, and we don't charge them anything. And I was changing that and got a lot of it changed with South Korea, with Japan, made a new deal with Japan. Oh, Japan was really, you know, Prime Minister Abe, he was great. Of Japan. He was assassinated. He was a great friend of mine. He was a great gentleman. He loved his people. He loved his country. I went to him. I said, you know, the trade deal between Japan and the United States is the most unfair thing I think I've ever seen. They sell cars to us. We can't sell cars to them. They sell food to us. We can't sell food to them. And it's that way with the European Union too. And I said to Abi, I love that guy. He was great. He was going to run again. He was getting well, and he was going to run again. Very popular guy. He would have won easily. But I said, we can't do this. He said, I was waiting for you to ask. He said, nobody's ever asked. Nobody from your country has ever asked, you know? He said, I'm shocked it took you so long. And I renegotiated it. I mean, I liked him so much. I could have made probably a tougher deal, but we made a tough deal. I liked him. He was a great guy. And we renegotiated that deal. We renegotiated a lot of deals. One of the best deals I made was with China, but because of COVID, I don't even talk about that deal. China had to buy $50 billion worth of our product, our agricultural product mostly. And, you know, it's interesting, during the negotiation, I said, what are we asking for? $15 million, 15. So I thought they meant 50, right? I heard it as 50. So when they came to me, they said, we have the deal done with China. It's $15 million. I said, what do you mean 15? It's 50, you told me. They said, no, it's 15. I said, go back and ask for 50. And we got it. Can you believe it? We got it. I thought they said 50. But the Reciprocal Trade Act is basically a terrible expression, but it's, you know, as accurate as I can make it. You know, I have a man I have a lot of respect for. He said, please, you speak so beautifully. Don't hurt your speech by using foul language. But sometimes foul language is a little bit necessary. More necessary here than on television. I have to say, on television, it doesn't sound good. Well, it sounds okay, actually, but it doesn't sound good. Here, you don't make your point. But I don't think this is too bad, because reciprocal trade, that's you screw us, we screw you. And then what happens, you charge us 100%, we charge you. I don't know how else I can say it so briefly, right? That's about as good as we can do. There's just no word that can cover that. So, and you know who that was? Does anybody know? You know who that was that told me? A great man, actually. Franklin Graham, you're right. It was Franklin Graham. He wrote me a beautiful letter, and he said, your speech was so good, and I loved it and everything else, but you don't have to use foul language. And I very rarely do. And it's not really, it's just, you know, like little words, like that word that starts with a B and ends with a T, right? It's just such a descriptive word. I don't know how you replace some of these words. But I think of him when I'm about to do, and usually last speech, I said, I'm going to behave, and I did. I totally behaved. This one, I did use those two words, the same word twice. Biden would say, I used 3 words 4 times, you know? Remember that? He'd have 4 words, and he'd say, in the famous words, those 2 words, and then he'd issue 4 words. This guy, this is what we have negotiating. This is what we have negotiating with Putin, with President Xi of China, with Kim Jong-un, who's loaded up with nuclear weapons. This is what we have negotiating. You know, when France came out and wanted to tax our nation, I told them you can't do it. And if you do it, you're going to pay 100% tax on all of your wine and all of your champagne that you send in. And all my people said you couldn't do it. You'll never be able to change it. They're going to tax our companies 25%. And I said, we're going to do it. And I did that. And it was a miracle. They said, Macron, you know Macron, good man. He loves France. He doesn't love us. He loves France. Right? And I said, no, you have to pay. We're going to charge you 100% unless that disappears. Everybody told me it couldn't be done. My own people told me it couldn't be done. And I said, nope, 100% starting on Monday. This was Friday. And he called me back 5 minutes later. He said, we would be delighted to drop that tax. We would be delighted to drop that 25% tax on your companies, Vivek. But if I gave it to Vivek to do, I think he'd pull it off, right? You know. He'd pull it off. It's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them, and they know that. All of their persecutions and prosecutions is happening because I'm running for president and leading very big in the polls, including in this great state. Now, do you remember in 2016 we won? And then we did much better here in 2020, but lots of things happened. And then in the end, we won, but by that time it was a little late. But in 2016, we won. And I got a poll from ABC Washington Post, Washington Post is down 50% in readers, which is a good thing because people don't like fake news. And ABC, they have George Stopalopoulos. I call him Slopadopoulos. George Stopadopoulos. I said, George, I've had you up to here. You got to start telling the truth. You got to start telling the truth. They're doing one of the debates, I understand. See, I agreed to this stuff. You know, I agreed to the debates. They came up to me and they said, we're going to do a debate. We'd like to challenge you to a debate. But they didn't want me to accept. So they gave me something that I couldn't accept. CNN, fake tapper, right? Fake tapper. Sit down at tables, no audience. I don't know, this thing sounds pretty unacceptable. No audience. I said, well, I think we should at least stand up. Don't you think it would be respectful? But I said, we'll do it. They didn't think I was going to do it. They thought I would say, no, I don't want to do it because CNN is so, you know, it's fake news. But I think maybe they'll be honest. I think fake tapper would really help himself if we're honest. But you'll see immediately if it is or not. I'll probably be Dana Bash is the other. I'll probably be negotiating with 3 people, but that's okay. I've done that before. I'll be debating 3 people instead of one half of a person. The outrageous charges in New York were a corrupt creation of crooked Joe Biden and his group. And they really weaponized, what they did is they weaponized the Department of Justice. They weaponized all the White House. What they did is disgraceful. It was all planned and carried out by his thugs in Washington, giving orders to New York. All these people went to Washington. It was all one big thing, including civil cases, by the way. The case was completely devoid of facts, merit, or even any crimes. Every legal analyst, all great people, I don't have to go over their names, I go over them all the time. But all of the great legal analysts said there is no case here. There is no crime. He shouldn't charge, etc. But every single one of them said that. This wasn't a legitimate indictment. This was a Joe Biden indictment to try and hurt your political opponent. And it's really reverberated because the numbers we've never had numbers better than this. And they've really gone up a lot since that fake deal was started. But since the rigged trial in New York, and think of this, the poll numbers have increased very substantially, and the fundraising has, I think, set all-time records. I mean, I think it's set all-time. And you know what? If you understand this stuff, if it hadn't, it would have gone the opposite way. If this was real stuff, it would have been the opposite. Most of the time it would be. But I have a nice platform. I was able to explain what it is. It was fake. I also got Dershowitz. You take a look at Dershowitz and Mark Levin, all great people. Andrew McCarthy, Greg Jarrett, all great people. Jonathan Turley, all fantastic. Do you think Biden could remember 5, 6, 7 names? I don't think so. I don't think so. And honestly, many others. And they all came out and they said, this is a terrible thing that's happening to our country, et cetera, et cetera. And people read, and that's when the numbers quadrupled, everything quadrupled. The poll numbers were great. The fundraising numbers went up at levels that nobody's ever seen before because they know it's all fake stuff. It's a Biden indictment. These aren't indictments. These are Biden indictments. He did it to hurt his political opponent because he's a lowlife who's the dumbest president we've ever had in addition to everything else. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to let them rig the presidential election in 2024. And every time, we're not going to let them do it. By the way, if we win Wisconsin, now, you know, Biden, you know what Biden would say? He'd say, if we win Iowa, oh, sir, you're in Wisconsin. Oh. But I have to be careful because when I do that stuff, they'll sometimes put it on like I was saying it. So when I imitate him, because he can't find his way off a stage ever. There's only 4 or 5 stairs on this one. Sometimes I have like 7 stairs. Anything built by the government, we have a lot of stairs because they have unlimited money. But you know what? When I imitate him, and you've heard this a little bit, I say it every once in a while. I said to my wife, how good was that speech? Was that great? It was the greatest. I had 107,000 people show up in New Jersey 3 weeks ago. 25,000 people in the South Bronx. People weren't sure about that one. It was love. That was a love fest, South Bronx. But I called up my wife. I said, how good. Now, I had just imitated him trying to get off a stage. And, you know, there's walls around, and I walk into walls. Kidding. It's sarcasm. It's like, it's truth. I mean, he walks into stages, he falls down. I better not ever fall down because they'll say, he said, we just don't want to fall down. You have to keep yourself from falling down. You just have to be careful. But he'd walk into walls and everything. So I said to my wife, how great was it, New Jersey? 107,000 people, nobody could have ever in history, nobody could have gotten 107,000 people. There's never been a politician, Vivek. You're just peanuts by comparison, Vivek. You don't know it. He hasn't learned his lesson yet. He has not learned his lesson yet. But he's a good man. He's going to be with us in some form. He hasn't learned. But I said to my wife, Vivek, I said, our great first lady, she's our great, people like our first lady. So I said, honey, I'll tell you, it was unbelievable. How good was it? It was unbelievable. The crowd, nobody's ever seen a crowd. That broke every record in New Jersey history. Nobody's ever seen 100, and I don't have a guitar. Don't forget, Elvis had a guitar. I don't have a guitar. I have nothing. I stand up here by myself. Terrible. But all these people, I said, how great? Tell me how great. She said, well, it was okay. I said, what do you mean okay? It was phenomenal. No, but your hair didn't look good. And then she said, the killer of all killers. She said, and what happened? You couldn't find your way off the stage. They showed you walking into walls. So the fake news had me walking into walls when I was just imitating Biden because he walks into walls. I don't know. You got to live with it. You got to live with it. That's why we call them the fake. That's why we call them the fake news. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. Remember, I got indicted more than Alphonse Capone. Al Capone was the meanest, Scarface. He was the meanest ever, the worst. Oh, he was right down the road, actually, Chicago. He controlled Chicago with an iron fist. If he went out to dinner with a person, didn't like him, they were gone by the next morning, never found again. You know, they're usually a part of the foundation of a building going up, right? I got indicted more than Al Capone, all because I ran for office. If I didn't run for office, I'd be enjoying life. But you know what? I enjoy this better because we're going to make America great again. That's what I like. That's what I like. Very simple. And I'm being indicted for you. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never, ever let them take away your freedom. That's why I'm here. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me. Quite simply put, I am just standing in their way. I'm standing in their way, and they're not. I'm not moving. I'm not moving. My life could have been so simple. I could have had 200 lawyers less. My life could have been so simple. I would have had a beautiful life, but this is a beautiful life. This is far more beautiful. I mean, what's better? Being with you right now. Look at that beautiful lake. That beautiful lake. Beautiful, right? What's better, this or sitting on the Pacific or the Atlantic, which has sharks? You don't have sharks. See, that's a big advantage. I'll take the one without the sharks. We're pleased to be joined today by many incredible patriots, including the man who is going to help Wisconsin reverse every single Biden disaster. Your next U.S. Senator, and this guy is central casting, Eric Hovde. Eric, stand up, Eric. Come on up, Eric. Eric has had an outstanding career in business, a real success, and now he's going to get things done. Eric will vote to crack down on illegal immigration, end Joe Biden's border disaster, support our police, and turn back the wave of violent crime. He will help us rapidly halt Biden inflation and unleash energy, the likes of which you have never seen. But most importantly, Eric will defeat your radical left senator, the worst senator in the U.S. Senate, they say. She's the worst senator. She's rated, I think, the lowest, the worst. is a bad one. You got a bad one in Ohio, too. I think he's going to be defeated, Brown. But Tammy Baldwin voted for every single inflation-causing Biden spending bill. 100% voted with Biden. And Biden doesn't represent you. $11 trillion worth of votes that have caused massive inflation. She wants to help Biden impose the largest tax hike in American history for 4 straight years. She's cast a vote. And remember, every single time she voted for crooked Joe Biden, she voted in favor of sanctuary cities. She voted to cancel my emergency declaration on the border to stop people from coming in. Thank you very much, Tammy. I appreciate it. And she opposed a little thing called Remain in Mexico that I did anyway. She opposed it. I did it anyway. And Baldwin supports Joe Biden's effort to undermine our police officers in the middle of the worst crime wave in modern history. She wants to not take care of our police. Tammy Baldwin is a radical left Democrat extremist. She's a horrible, horrible senator. And this gentleman, I mean, is this central casting, this guy? And his wife looks even better than he does. That's pretty good. But he's going to secure our borders and stop inflation. He's going to help me. We're going to win. You know, again, we win Wisconsin and we win the whole thing. We win the whole thing. So we got to win. Eric, say hello.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. And we do have a gorgeous state. Look at how beautiful Wisconsin is. Now, the president and I are both business guys. In fact, I'm in the development business. That development project over there I'm developing right now, 220 units, revitalizing Racine. But you know, in the world of business, results matter. And in business, you either get it done or you don't get it done. So let's take a quick look. President Trump, inflation averaged about 1.7%. Almost nothing. Joe Biden, 6%. And I agree with President Trump. The prices have gone up more than 20%. Are you kidding me? They're fudging the numbers. How about your incomes? Do you know your incomes grew under President Trump at a faster rate than any time in American history? 7.7%. Under Joe Biden, sadly, your wages have declined by 2.9%. We've never had that in 3 years. They're crushing the middle class. They're crushing the working class. And how about the border? President Trump showed you the numbers. The numbers are clear. He had the border completely under control. Joe Biden, first year, over 3 million. Second year, over 3 million. Third year, they don't even know. I mean, we may have 16 million illegal immigrants. Our streets are being flooded with fentanyl. And by the way, Mr. President, I know you're going to take care of this. They can't account for 100,000 children. And sadly, too many of those kids have probably ended up in the sex trade. So the results are clear. This president, no wars. Joe Biden, the world's awash in conflict. So the results speak for themselves. And Tammy Baldwin has voted with Joe Biden 95.5% of the time. I got to ask you, Mr. President, you have a lovely, gorgeous wife. I got married. I'm lucky with a beautiful wife. We've been great relationship, but I can tell you, I don't agree with her 95.5% of the time. And I sure the heck know she doesn't agree with me 95.5% of the time. So how could Tammy Baldwin agree with Joe Biden 95.5% of the time? She's been a disaster. She's talking about fentanyl. She's done nothing on fentanyl. She has voted for open borders. She has voted for all the debt. Everything she has done wrong. So I'm going to get off the stage now turn it back to President Trump. But President Trump raised the apprentice. And this time around, Mr. President, you and I are going to work hard to take back this country because this country is going to be saved right here in Wisconsin. And it's all of you and you that are going to fire Joe Biden and Tammy Baldwin. Let's take back America, make America great, and restore the American dream. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much, Eric. Great job. Go out and vote. You're getting a dynamo. You need that. That's what you need. You need that in Washington. We're also pleased to be joined by former Governor Scott Walker. Scott, great governor, a great governor. You're coming with us, Scott. You're coming with us. Thank you very much. And a friend of mine for a long time, another great one. This was a great one. I don't know. I've heard he's like the most popular person in your whole state. Although Scott's right there too. Tommy Thompson. Tommy Thompson. Tommy, thank you. And Tommy, I hear you're heading up the Trump campaign in Wisconsin, right? Right? All right, we're all done with that, Tommy. I like that. Tommy's heading it up. How the hell, I mean, can I do better? I don't think so, right? Thank you, Tommy. We appreciate it very much. Scott, thank you very much. House Republican leader, Steve Scalise, very brave guy. Steve, thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. And members of Congress, a real warrior, Derek Van Orden. He cannot take no for an answer. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eric. Thanks, Derek. That's great. Brian Stile took the place of somebody that wasn't nearly as good as him. Doing a much better job.
Many weeks ago, my Lord husband was alive.
All sorts of J6 scams and hustles and what's happened, and he's in charge of the committee, and I hear you're doing a fantastic job, and you're going to make sure that we have an honest election in the great state of Wisconsin, right? This area. Thank you very much. Great job. Appreciate it. Another friend of mine, Glenn Grothman. Glenn, thank you very much. And we all know he's here because I heard he made a great speech before and people really like him. He came sort of, nobody knew him too much. All of a sudden they say, he's a smart guy, and he's a very smart guy. Vivek Ramaswamy. Thank you, Vivek. He's done a great job, actually. Wisconsin GOP Chairman Brian Schemming. Thank you, Brian. Very important guy. We're gonna win it. We're gonna win it. We gotta win it. Thank you, Brian. And the next candidate from Wisconsin's 8th Congressional District, Tony Weed. Tony, thank you. Great. Oh, another central casting guy. Wow. They have good-looking people in this state, don't they, huh? Wow. That's great. Good. Thank you, Tony, very much. You're going to do great. From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, I believe we are going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we win, it's about us. After we win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I get along with both of them very well. Should have never happened. All those people dead, all those cities destroyed. You can never rebuild them. Never rebuild them like they were. Beautiful 1,000-year-old buildings with the gold domes. You can never rebuild that, but what a shame. And one thing I'll do that nobody else can say, they can not even talk. I know all the players. I will prevent a thing called World War III. And you are closer to it. You are closer to it than you have any idea. Biden's weakness has put us in grave danger. I will restore peace through strength. You know, again, Russia didn't take any land while Trump was president, but they did take land under Bush. They did take land under Obama. Looks like they're taking the whole country from Biden with all the money that we spend. You could have settled that deal over a couple of phone calls, frankly. and you wouldn't have anybody dead, and you'd have the country would be intact. It would be intact, but he couldn't do that. And the way he talked, I used to say, boy, he's saying the exact opposite thing that you have to say to get that thing ended. What a horrible, horrible president he's been. In my next term, we will build a great iron dome over our country, a dome like has never seen before, a state-of-the-art missile defense shield that will be entirely built in America, and we will create, on top of everything else, jobs, jobs, jobs. And we need protection, too. We're going to build the greatest dome of them all. You see what happened in Israel. They shot 3,000 missiles, and they knocked down almost all of them. And we're entitled to that also, you know, and it was our idea, by the way. And Ronald Reagan wanted to do it many years ago, but unfortunately then it sounded like Star Wars. He was ahead of his time, actually. But we didn't have the technology that you have now. Now we have the greatest technology there is. And we're going to build a dome, a safety shield over the top of us so that if we see something coming in 5 years from now, I'll be talking a little bit differently, maybe. We'll see something coming. I say, don't worry, the dome's going to take care of it. The dome, don't worry about it. The dome will take care of it. But we should have that. You know, we should be entitled to that, don't you think? With all the hostility out there, I think so. All made in the USA, including right here. To further secure America's future and create opportunity for young people, I will end Joe Biden's war on crypto. We will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America. Otherwise, other countries are going to have it. The other countries are going to have it. We're going to rebuild our cities, become beacons of hope, safety, and beauty, better than they have ever been before. Right now, they're death and squalor, and they're falling apart. We're going to rebuild our cities. We will take over the horribly run capital of our nation in Washington, D.C., and clean up, renovate, and rebuild our capital city so that it no longer is a nightmare of murder and crime. People go there from Wisconsin. I want to see the Washington Monument, and they end up getting shot. They end up getting killed. It's a horrible thing taking place in the Capitol. We're going to take it over. It's going to be run properly. It's going to be beautified. It's going to be cleaned. I went there the other day for one of these trials, you know, these trials that keep me busy so much. You know, I'm only allowed to campaign about 20% of the time because I have all these Biden trials. But so far, it's not working. We can never let that work. We can't let them get away with it. But I went there, and the roads were so badly damaged. There were potholes all over the place. There was trash all over the main highways, trash, garbage. You're driving over garbage. The medians in the middle, you know, the metal medians were all broken and rusted and disgusting. That's no way to have a capital. Can you imagine these foreign leaders come in, and generally their capitals are in good shape? You know, that's why they're dictators. They say that we don't want broken medians. We don't want potholes in our roads. We want to have them nice. I went to China. You never saw anything like that. A road 10 cars wide times 2. Medians that were impeccable. They're probably 100 years old. They were made out of steel. They were painted. They were impeccable. All this stuff. We got to have the same thing. We got to have it. We have to have it done properly. Our nation's capital is the murder capital of the world. Our nation's capital is falling apart. Graffiti all over the beautiful marbles and granites. Graffiti all over the place. We're going to clean up our capital. We're going to be proud of our capital. We're going to take care of our capital. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding of any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our children. And I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. And I will keep, who even thinks you have to say this stuff, you know, like open borders. Who wants an open border? Nobody wants to know. Who has open borders? But some of these things, it's embarrassing to say. I will keep men out of women's sports. Why would you have to say that? You know, you go back 10, 15 years ago, somebody would say, did he just say he was going to keep, what's that all about? The women are big. It's so disrespectful for women. The other day, a woman playing volleyball, got hit by a ball, hit by somebody who transitioned, a large person, very large, and the ball came at her at a level that at a speed at which she's never seen before. It hit her, and it had bad impact. Bad things happened, bad things, and that's happened before. The swimming is ridiculous. The weightlifting is probably the most ridiculous. Weightlifting records that stood for 18 years of being obliterated by hundreds of pounds by people that transitioned. I don't think it's, we're going to get rid of that immediately. I will fully uphold the Second Amendment. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech. And I will secure our elections with a goal to have one-day voting, paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and voter ID. But until then, Republicans must win. We want a landslide, and the expression I use, where you just can't lose, is we got to make it too big to rig. Too big to rig, because they're dishonest people. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden and the Biden administration of thugs has done. What they've done to our country is incredible, what they've done. And you haven't even seen it yet. You haven't seen the terrorists yet. You haven't seen the killing yet that's starting to take place. Again, it takes them a little time. They want to get accustomed to the country. They're not going to start from day one because they don't know. Then they see our laws, which are so weakened and so pathetic, and they probably can't believe them. But you're going to see things that will be horrible unless you elect me president, in which case we're going to get them the hell out of here. We're going to get them out fast. So if you want to save America, I'm asking everybody to go out to the website, swampthevoteusa.com. Swamp the vote, right? The swamp. This is a different kind of swamp than we usually use. Swamp. We got rid of a lot of the swamp, Comey and all those guys. We got rid of them. Swampthevoteusa.com to make a plan to vote either by mail, early in person, or to vote on election day. You have to vote and watch your vote. Watch your vote, because they tend to disappear. Watch your vote. Make sure it's counted, and you can do that. Make sure it's counted. You have great people. Again, Tommy is going to be totally involved, and you have two great governors that are going to be involved, and we appreciate it very much. Two great governors. You got to win it. We win it. We win the whole thing. Then we see you guys in Washington. We'll see you in Washington. And if you want to volunteer to help us turn out the voters in your neighborhood, sign up and get trained at TrumpForce47.com. TrumpForce47.com. Go out, because we want to watch it. You want to watch for the cheating. I say guard the vote. I say guarding the vote is far more important. We have all the votes we need. We have to guard the vote. We have to stop the steal. If we stop the steal, we win. I don't have to campaign anymore. Just stop the steal. So Scott and Tommy, do a job out there, okay? You'll do it. In conclusion, from Madison to Milwaukee, from La Crosse to Kenosha, I love Kenosha, and from Green Bay to right here in Racine, we inherit the legacy of Wisconsin patriots who braved the incredible dangers to carve out a life in a vast and wild frontier. We stand on the shoulders of the American giants who crossed the oceans, explored the continent, settled the Great Plains, won the Wild West, laid down the railroads, raised up those great, big, beautiful skyscrapers. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Conquered the skies, fought 2 world wars and won, and we didn't have to change the name of the forts, by the way. Does anybody know what I mean by that? Fort Bragg is no longer Fort Bragg. We won 2 world wars. So many of the forts are changed. The names of the forts have changed. We won freedom from those forts, and they changed the name. So horrible. Defeated fascism and communism, mastered space flight, created Space Force. That was mine. First time in 78 years. And made America into the single greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation in serious decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, lost its willpower, and lost its strength. We are a nation that has lost, quite simply, its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. Less than 4 years ago, we were a great nation. We were a respected nation, respected all over the world by China, by Russia, by everybody. And we will soon be a great nation again. With the right leadership, every disaster Joe Biden has created can be fixed, and it can be fixed quickly. Every problem can be solved, and every wrong can be rectified. By this time next year, America's borders will be strong and sealed and secure. Inflation will be in full retreat. Our economy will be roaring back. Optimism and spirit will be surging. The American dream will be thriving again for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. Law and justice will reign all throughout our land. Freedom will be restored. The flame of liberty will be burning bright. Joe Biden, this guy is just the worst. Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, will be a fading nightmare. He'll be a fading, I have fading memory, but I think, do you mind if I change it? He will be a fading nightmare. He's been a nightmare for this country. He is destroying our country. He's the worst we've ever had. He's destroying our country. And our great silent majority, including the once forgotten men and women of our country, will be the one shaping America's magnificent future when I am the 47th president of the United States of America. Because we are all Americans, and together we will show November 5th to be the most important day in the history of America. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. We will make America free again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you. God bless you, Wisconsin. God bless you, Wisconsin. Thank you. Get out and vote. Get out and vote, everybody. God bless you all.
Yo estaba sin audio también. Yo estaba sin audio también, pero ahí sí, ahí estamos con audio. Ok, Alex, sí, estás con audio, ¿no? Estás con retorno. Ahí sí. Veamos. Veamos, ahí estamos. ¿Sí o no, Alex? Pero tú estás sin audio. Sí, estás sin audio, ok. Ok, perfecto. Perfecto, bueno, ahí ya lo va a corregir Alex. Seguramente se apagó o se le fue la pila a la espera.
Ahí, ¿cómo estamos?
Ahí tienes audio. Ahí tienes audio. Perfecto. Ok,
Ya,
lo que
ahora,
estamos conversando, el discurso de Donald Trump, perdón, me voy a centrar un poco aquí en esta pantalla, ahí sí. El discurso de Donald Trump fue bastante contundente en cuanto a todo el progresismo que existe hoy día, no solamente en Estados Unidos, sino que también en el mundo y el daño que le ha hecho a Estados Unidos, a la economía, al tema de la inmigración, ¿verdad? Al tema de la seguridad en el país de los inmigrantes ilegales, también se refirió en términos bastante duros respecto de la situación que está viviendo el país y las soluciones que él busca, ¿cierto? Que son cerrar la frontera definitivamente para este tipo de inmigración, una inmigración que viene promovida, como todos ya sabemos, ¿cierto? Organizaciones internacionales que están muy interesadas en poder desarmar la identidad de los países y también lo ha hecho con Estados Unidos a través de Joe Biden. Eh, Habló también de que los demócratas, ¿verdad? Que el partido que apoya a la izquierda, digamos, que apoya a Joe Biden, le tienen pánico, le tienen terror a la imagen de Donald Trump. ¿Por qué crees tú que le podrían tener este miedo?
mira, yo venía escuchando el discurso, la verdad es que llegué hace poquito, pero venía escuchando el
Sí,
discurso, y es un discurso básicamente bien nacionalista, bien patriótico, que creo que tiene muchísima similitud con lo que estamos viviendo nosotros también. Aquí existe un terror gigantesco, gigantesco, a que aparezca una figura como Donald Trump, como Bukele, como Milei, y que les desarme un poco el esquema o el panorama que ellos tienen planteado para Chile, para el progresismo, para todo ese círculo que tienen ellos. Y creo que la línea va por lo que dice Donald Trump, o sea, asegurar su frontera, asegurar su país, darle fuerza a su país, mejorar la economía, mejorar la educación, impulsar para que, en el caso de ellos, sea el país más fuerte del mundo, ¿cierto? Cosa que ha pasado en estos últimos años, que Estados Unidos ha generado o ha provocado un deterioro en términos de la convivencia, en términos de la economía, en términos de su sociedad, etcétera. Y yo creo que por ahí va el discurso de él, que lo encuentro bastante coherente, bastante nacionalista, patriota, y que ese es el miedo y ese es el gran ruido que le hace a toda esta gente de progresismo. Él sin ningún tapujo culpa a Joe Biden de todo esto y trata de poner ejemplos como Joe Biden se ha mezclado con este progresismo, con esta gente de izquierda básicamente, que lo único que hacen es tratar de confundir las cosas y provocar el daño a los países. Por eso que creo que es súper importante que este discurso lo escuche mucha gente para que entienda de que Donald Trump no es un dictador, no es un demonio como lo pintan en muchas partes del mundo, sino que quiere como economista, como persona nacionalista, como patriota, como gente republicana, quiere levantar su país y quiere volver a los índices que tuvo él hace 4 años atrás, Sebastián.
así es. Bueno, yo voy a rescatar los 4 puntos fundamentales que habló Joe Biden. Fueron, como te decía recién, la seguridad, por un lado, ¿verdad? El tema de la criminalidad que existente hoy día en Estados Unidos, avalada, ¿cierto? Por todo este progresismo, donde la criminalidad en Estados Unidos va en aumento, evidentemente, ¿verdad? Y fue algo de lo que mencionó. Luego, todo esto amarrado al tema de la inmigración ilegal, que fue el punto al que pasó posteriormente, que es un tema que también hay que resolver rápidamente para poder devolver la seguridad a los ciudadanos. Y creo que son puntos que son muy coincidentes entre lo que está viviendo Estados Unidos en este momento en estos aspectos y Chile también. Y muchos países que han sido atacados por esta agenda que también atacó, donde habló acerca de la agenda globalista, donde se refirió específicamente a la agenda de género y el ataque hacia los niños y la familia. Puntos en los que estamos absolutamente concordantes, ¿verdad? En la realidad del país. Comparando a Estados Unidos con Chile en este momento, guardando las proporciones, se entiende en cuanto a tamaños, pero sí la realidad progresista es exactamente la misma. Después, el último punto habló no el último punto, sino que antes de esto habló acerca de la alta inflación que existía hoy día en manos del gobierno de Joe Biden, bajo esta administración, donde habló incluso acerca de la gravedad de lo que está ocurriendo, donde, igual que en Chile, Alex, están cobrando impuestos por absolutamente todo. Es como el afán de meter las manos donde sea, donde sea. Es como una máxima progresista. Es cómo le sacamos más plata a la gente, cómo exprimimos, estrucamos y aplastamos más a la gente. Y habló incluso de las propinas, perdón, de los impuestos a las propinas, medidas que han ocurrido durante estos gobiernos. Este gobierno específicamente el de Joe Biden en este caso.
Es que el modo de operar de ellos, ojo, yo lo que rescato de todo esto y que la gente abra los ojos, es de que Estados Unidos, siendo una potencia, siendo un país desarrollado, está adoleciendo exactamente los mismos problemas que tienen los países digamos, que no son desarrollados, que están en Sudamérica, y que el modelo es el mismo, es como que si tú
Están atacados
agarraras
por la
una
misma
agenda.
agenda.
Por
Claro.
eso es una agenda que en el fondo se ha ido cumpliendo en diferentes partes del mundo y que está provocando exactamente los mismos problemas en Europa, los mismos problemas en Norteamérica, los mismos problemas en Sudamérica. O sea, es exactamente lo mismo. Es una agenda creada para deconstruir los países y provocar lo que tú dices, provocar este relleno económico de esta gente progresista, generar más impuestos, porque a ellos les encantan los impuestos, de tal forma de estrujar a los ciudadanos y ellos verse beneficiados, y una vez que los tienen estrujados, que los tienen liquidados, que los tienen ahorcados, ahí aparece el Estado como un gran salvador para poder tirarle unas migajas para que esa gente sobreviva y tener de una u otra forma, tenerlos secuestrados, tenerlos capturados, comprar a esa gente para poder sobrevivir, no para poder desarrollarse, para poder sobrevivir y hacerse dependientes del Estado. Y eso creo que es fundamental, porque es el mismo fenómeno que pasa en Chile, que mucha gente cree que el Estado tiene que ser benefactor y que tiene que prácticamente abastecerlo de todo, como pasa en Venezuela, como pasa en Cuba, pero al final se transforma esto en un ciclo maligno en que el Estado no tiene la capacidad, no tiene la cantidad de plata, sino que transforma este subsidio en verdaderos, ¿cierto?, migajas para que la gente pueda sobrevivir y después le pasa la cuenta. Po. Cuando vienen las elecciones, cuando tienen que nuevamente entrar en el ruedo, les cortan esto y les dicen, amigo mío, si usted no sigue en esta senda, le tengo que cortar todo, y como la gente se acostumbra a sobrevivir de esa forma, no tiene opciones. Y eso creo que es sumamente grave, Sebastián.
Bueno, lo que se vivió precisamente aquí en Chile en un momento cuando ocurrió el tema de la pandemia, perdón, y ocurren todos los cierres de empresas, acompañado también por toda la destrucción que hubo el 19 de octubre, digo, 18 de octubre del 2019, cuando también se cerraron muchas pymes, microempresas, ¿verdad? Hubo una cantidad de gente que quedó cesante increíble, que eso no se ha dimensionado nunca, y ningún medio ha querido cubrir y investigar cuántos cesantes ocurrieron en ese momento, porque 3 meses después aparece este tema de esta supuesta crisis sanitaria a nivel mundial, donde comienzan a cerrar las empresas, las restricciones con las cuarentenas, etcétera, y empieza a afectarse toda la economía. La economía no solamente en Chile, sino en todos los países del mundo, y en Estados Unidos también sufrieron algo parecido, pero parecido solamente porque hubo bastante menos tendencia a afectar tanto al país, ¿verdad? Con esto. Pero aquí sí en Chile. Entonces tenemos realidades que hay que reconocer en cuanto a esta agenda que tú estás mencionando, Alex, que es una agenda globalista gigantesca que busca destruir naciones. Entonces uno se pregunta, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué quieren destruir las naciones cuando se supone que mientras más desarrollado esté un país, ¿verdad? Supongamos Chile, mientras en mejor camino hacia el progreso se encuentre, va a generar más impuestos, y con la generación de mayores impuestos esta gente debiera sentirse conforme, pero aquí hay algo más, Está
Que quedan
ocurriendo
fuera del
algo,
espectro, po. Quedan fuera del
no,
espectro, porque su
no
ideología,
quedan fuera, no quedan fuera del espectro, no es eso. Lo que pasa es que hay intereses globalistas que están fuera del país, Y esa gente desde fuera del país está muy interesada en poder mantener el control. Y si el país avanza por sí solo, pierden el control sobre el país. Entonces ellos alimentan a las personas que están aquí adentro, que son enemigos de Chile, ¿verdad? Tal como está ocurriendo en Estados Unidos, tal como ocurre en Argentina, tal como ocurre en España, como ocurre en Francia, como ocurre en Canadá y como ocurre en otros países más que están siendo atacados por esta tremenda agenda, que es un diseño hecho para destruir las naciones, para poder tomar el control sobre ellas.
Mira, yo hoy día, antes de que escuchara el discurso de Donald Trump, cosas que me llaman la atención y que dan indicios, dan pruebas fehacientes de lo que está pasando en Sudamérica, Latinoamérica, etcétera. La, la presidenta elegida de México, Claudia Sheinbaum, hoy día estaba haciendo un discurso en México en ruso, en ruso.
Uh-huh.
O sea, ¿para qué? Para poder generar este vínculo, esta aliación con los países comunistas, que lo vemos acá en Chile también, cuando Boris se trata de parecer a Allende, cuando trata de involucrarse con países que están absolutamente bajo una órbita comunista, socialista, progresista. Y creo que ese es el gran mensaje que nos deja Trump, que él no ha renunciado a la creencia de un país libre, un país soberano, un país potente, una economía sólida, y eso es lo que debemos pretender todos los ciudadanos de cualquier país digamos, de la esfera, porque es la única forma de progresar, es la única forma de avanzar, de fortalecernos como país, de dar bases sólidas para que nuestros hijos, nuestros nietos o las generaciones futuras puedan desarrollarse. Porque en este minuto estamos estancados, estamos sumamente estancados. No tenemos crecimiento, no tenemos nada, absolutamente nada. Y existe este manto que confunde a estas generaciones que creo que andan más preocupadas del Nintendo, del celular, que de lo que realmente se les viene como futuro. Y yo creo que en ese ámbito Donald Trump es muy visionario, es estadista en términos de generar las condiciones para Estados Unidos de Norteamérica para que vuelva y retome el rumbo que venía antes, donde sea el país más poderoso del mundo, sea el país más poderoso del mundo y pueda de una u otra forma generar las condiciones, los vínculos con los países chicos como nosotros para poder también impulsarlo y despegar, porque Estados Unidos solo no puede, tiene que depender también en menor o mayor escala de algunos países y que vayan en la misma senda. Yo creo que ese es un mensaje sumamente potente que él da y que es lo que nosotros de una u otra forma también nos vemos beneficiados. Si Estados Unidos está bien, todas las piezas o todos los rincones están bien. Si Estados Unidos está mal, automáticamente el mundo entero y los países chicos como nosotros, que somos, digamos, el patio trasero, vamos a estar mal. Así que creo que eso es sumamente relevante también de lo que él habla y lo que él proyecta en su discurso, Sebastián.
Así es. Bien. Ok, señoras, señores, hasta aquí vamos a dejar entonces esta transmisión. Ha sido larga igual, casi 2 horas. Ana Lemus lamentablemente perdió la señal cuando estaba comenzando el discurso de Donald Trump. Gracias a David Cepeda por habernos entregado rápidamente la forma de poder retransmitir en directo el discurso, ahí ya con buena calidad de imagen y audio. Y bueno, y felicitar también al comandante Claudio Crespo, que salió libre, absolutamente libre de todos los cargos, que le imputaba una justicia que lo estaba persiguiendo, una fiscal que lo estaba persiguiendo. Yo vi un video, un extracto de un programa de ayer donde Claudio Crespo era atacado literalmente por un panelista de izquierda que es supuestamente abogado, un tipo que le dicen Inti, algo ya, o sea, entre la pinta y el nombre era zurdo, 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 y que le decía delincuente, carnicero a Claudio Crespo. Yo felicito primero a Claudio Crespo por haber mantenido la calma ante estos ataques, porque con sus 2 metros de altura yo me hubiera parado frente a él solamente y creo que el famoso Inti se hubiera hecho entero, ahí mismo. Pero él mantuvo la calma, se mantuvo sentado, ¿verdad? Y le respondió que a él no lo han condenado por absolutamente nada todavía y que recién hoy día iba a hacer iba a entregar la condena o lo iban a sobreseer de todos estos temas. Y efectivamente, al final salió absolutamente libre, absuelto de todas las acusaciones. Y por lo tanto yo le recomendaría a Claudio Crespo querellarse directamente contra este abogado Inti por difamación, por calumnias, etcétera, públicas, porque las hizo públicas. Por lo tanto, es bastante grave lo que hizo ese señor. Así que mi recomendación para el comandante Claudio Crespo, primero que nada, felicitarlo. Qué bueno que quede liberado de todo esto. Igual perdió la pega, gracias al octubrismo. Y
Deberían reintegrarlo.
deberían, pero eso no va a pasar. Tú sabes que no va a pasar.
Bueno, no sé, mira, la verdad es que yo creo que si hubiese un agente consciente, un director general inteligente, lo reincorporaría. Veamos qué es lo que va a pasar. Pero también me llamó la atención, hoy día en la mañana también escuché completo el programa que tú hablas, y había una mujer, no recuerdo el nombre, en que lo ataca, así como lo atacó este abogado, diciéndole de que ellos eran responsables, no sé de cuántos ojos, habló de muchos ojos,
Lo siento,
habló de,
lo siento.
habló de una carnicería, como dices tú, de muertos, y Claudio Crespo le dijo, por favor, a ver, ¿usted me puede detallar cuántas personas perdieron los ojos o cuántas personas están muertas después de esto? Y automáticamente ya ahí para el discurso o
¿A
no
quién he
hay, no hay
matado? Le dijo. ¿A quién he
fundamento.
matado? Ujú.
Claro, ahí paran los discursos, ahí no hay fundamento. En el fondo es lanzar esta piedra
Es el
y después
relato.
sacar las manos.
Es el relato permanente. Si
Claro,
eso se trata, así trabaja la izquierda. Se trata de instalar realidades inexistentes y la gente se convence, ¿verdad? Porque usan la prensa para eso y la prensa está absolutamente alineada con ellos. Por lo tanto, la gente que no está enterada de las cosas, que no investiga un poco más a fondo, termina comprándose todos los cuentos que le vende el relato izquierdista. Esa es la verdad.
así es,
Esa es la verdad.
así es.
Ok.
Bueno, moraleja para que la gente entienda o que se dé cuenta de que no todo lo que brilla es oro, no todo lo que se habla es realidad, no todo lo que se acusa va con fundamento y se empiezan a caer. Si Claudio Crespo no hubiese tenido las lucas o se hubiera generado las lucas con su libro o con los aportes, a lo mejor otro cuento cantaría, porque la verdad que tuvo una defensa súper sólida y eso cuesta plata y buscar las pruebas y buscar todo. Por eso que da tanta pena cuando le dijo en algún minuto, ustedes que están activos tienen defensa gratuita de parte de Carabineros. Mentira, Carabineros no defiende a nadie, el ejército no defiende a nadie. Así que también otra realidad instalada que es mentira.
Mira a Patricio Maturana nomás, mira a Patricio Maturana, todo lo que le ha costado poder seguir adelante con su vida, estando preso, por algo que no cometió. Y la supuesta víctima es hoy día senadora, que demandó además al Estado y se embolsó varios cientos de millones de pesos al bolsillo por algo que todos sabemos que no es real. Yo no estoy hablando que no haya quedado con problemas de vista, estoy hablando acerca de en qué situación ocurrió realmente esto.
Pero fue
En
una
fin,
piedra, no fue un tiro de escopeta ni nada de eso, porque se me hubiera quedado
es lo
con
que
la cara
todos sabemos,
quemada.
es lo que todos sabemos, lo que dicen los peritajes, etcétera, pero ya llegará el momento en que llegue una verdadera justicia a Chile. Por ahora, sabemos ya que hay jueces que están haciendo la pega, pero hay otros que no, definitivamente, y fiscales también que son realmente un peligro para la sociedad. ¿Mm? Esperemos que esa gente sea juzgada en el futuro, Alex y estimados amigos, y nos vamos despidiendo. Nos estamos viendo, yo creo que fue un buen discurso hoy día el de Joe Biden, una buena noticia la de Claudio Crespo, así es que
El discurso de
sigamos.
Trump, no Joe Biden.
Perdón, me ha dado, hoy día en la mañana también hice lo mismo. Pero imagínate el discurso que está dando Joe Biden en este momento.
Seguramente está convenciéndolos a todos que les va a regalar plata, les va a regalar todo y les va a mejorar
No,
la
no, no,
vida, pero al
no.
final
No, si tú crees que Joe Biden no estaba viendo el discurso de Donald Trump,
Por supuesto, por supuesto. ¿Y tú crees que
Imagínate.
en la moneda no nos ven a nosotros? También nos ven, po. A todo esto
Pues
aprovecho mandarle
sí,
un saludo a la gente de la moneda, que nos ve siempre, y orientarlo, porque su presidente habló el día de ayer, que lo tenía yo anotadito aquí y no lo puse. No existe ninguna región en Chile que sea región de la Patagonia. Así que, señor
no, pues
presidente,
Magallanes, pues.
por eso, para que el señor presidente se enchufe y aprenda un poquito de historia, y la región es de Magallanes, la región donde pasó el conflicto o el problema con los paneles solares, la región de Magallanes, no es la región de la Patagonia. Así que alerta a la gente de la moneda, oriéntenlo, enséñenle, pásenle un librito y díganle cuántas regiones hay en Chile, cuáles son sus capitales regionales y seguramente las provincias, y háganle una prueba, porque si no hacen loco, adelante todo Chile.
Oye, si hubiera nacido Gabriel Boric en Putaendo, te creo que no esté claro acerca de la región de Magallanes, pero él nació allá y no sabe ni siquiera cómo se llama su región. Bueno, impresentable, impresentable. Es muy parecido, mira, con mayor vitalidad, te diría que Joe Biden, ¿verdad? Gabriel Boric, pero la cabeza anda por ahí, ¿eh? Anda por ahí. En fin, ya señores, un abrazo gigantesco, muchísimas gracias y nos estamos viendo en una siguiente oportunidad. Que tengan unas muy buenas tardes. Así que trabajando con Dios, por la patria, por la familia y por la libertad. Viva Chile libre y soberano, y quienes no dominen el inglés, a tomar cursos. Oye, hay un montón de aplicaciones en internet, incluso en el teléfono, donde uno puede ir aprendiendo paso a paso. ¿Verdad? En el teléfono hay unas que se llaman, Duolingo, muy buena, gratuita y de verdad sirve y sirve entender inglés, por lo menos entenderlo, ¿verdad? Sirve para un montón de situaciones de la vida, así que conviene aprender ese idioma por lo menos. Después nos tiraremos con el chino mandarín y con el alemán y con el japonés, con el ruso, el ucraniano, etcétera, para poder entender un poquito más de geopolítica.
Con
Ya,
inglés abren las puertas del mundo en todas partes hablan inglés. Así que
así
el que
es,
sabe inglés puede llegar a cualquier parte del mundo, y eso tenganlo claro.
así es. Ya, señores, nos vemos. Chao, que estén muy bien. Chao.
En la vereda vamos juntos a luchar con fuerza y coraje por la libertad, contra el socialismo que nos quiere engañar. En Chile unidos no nos podrán callar. Alzamos nuestras voces, estamos aquí, derrotaremos el globalismo sin temor a morir. Por nuestra soberanía nos levantaremos. En la Vereda TV la verdad se hará ver. Valientes en la vereda, con amor y unidad. Luchamos por tu libertad con toda intensidad. No nos derrotarán, seguiremos hasta el final. En Chile enarbolamos la bandera de la verdad. Seguiremos hasta el final. De Chile enarbolamos la bandera de la verdad.